What is up, everybody? It's the best week of the college football season. It's rivalry week, and we are here, not here to play school. We're here to shop. I guess go shop. I just was at Target. I got Phase 10 card game.
Okay.
Great game. I don't know how you feel about Phase 10. We've played a lot of Phase 10 in our life. Some lights and some socks. Exactly what you get for
that wasn't
Black
like
Friday
big
shopping.
Black Friday. That wasn't really big Black Friday
The
shopping.
socks were $6 off. The socks were $6 off.
Okay.
The Phase 10 was also 50% off. And the lights were, I don't know if they were a deal, but it's just in the spirit.
So I don't really,
you know what? Target Black, it was, I don't know. I mean, it could just be in the city of Chicago too. Maybe the stores aren't as poppin', but Black Friday is obviously not as crazy as it used to be. And it was just like a normal day at Target, honestly, in there. So just kind of shopping around.
Right, fair enough.
Nothing crazy though. You're right. I didn't get any crazy Black Friday shopping.
No, not at all. But I mean, I'm glad you had fun. That's what it sounds like. You had fun. You had a good time.
I did. And the socks are comfortable. I got them on right now, so I'm happy with that. We got some Christmas decorations too. You know, it's the season now. But we're here to talk rivalry week. There's games going on right now. There will be games tonight. So the way we're going to lay this show out will be first, Mo's got a quiz game for me because Mo is the expert. If you just ask Alex about a lot of topics, he'll just be able to name them off randomly. Rivalry game names is one of them. So that's what we're going to start off with. He's going to quiz me on that. Then we'll talk Ohio State, Michigan, the main event of tomorrow, right at noon, 11 Central. And then we'll go through today's top 12 matchups of the rivalry games and then tomorrow's, which are full of huge implications, obviously, for the college football playoff and just some of the biggest rivalries in our sport going on. But we'll start with the name game, Mo. I wish I had some like game show music, but
well, our opening theme is close enough. So some of them don't have a name for the rivalry, but they have a trophy. So we'll see if you get that. And sometimes they're known by a trophy name. So I got Arizona State.
That's the Territorial Cup.
It is
Territorial War. One of the two. Cup. Both of them? Okay.
Yeah, Territorial Cup. All right. Indiana versus Purdue.
Old Oaken Bucket.
Old Oaken Bucket, yeah. All right. Wisconsin, Minnesota.
That's Paul Bunyan's axe.
That is Paul Bunyan's axe.
All right, I'm rolling here. This is better than I thought.
Navy SMU.
Navy and SMU?
Yeah, they got a trophy. you got the name of the trophy?
What is that just the AAC made rivalry, or is that a long-standing rivalry?
I think it's well, no, it says that they've been playing each other since 1930, but it's only 24 meetings since 1930. So it's since they joined the AAC, it's definitely like their set rivalry.
I got nothing here. I'm gonna take
the Gans Trophy.
Okay.
Gans, named after Frank Gans, who played linebacker at the Naval Academy, and then he was the head coach of the Chiefs.
What a legend.
Oh, and on the coaching staffs of both Navy and SMU. So there you go. All right.
Okay.
Well, let's see. Trying to make sure we're getting ones that are for today's games, actually, or these upcoming games. But we're gonna talk about a bunch of them.
That's true.
That's the problem. We're talking about a few of them. 1 second. Okay. Cal Stanford. What's the trophy and what's the name?
Well, I didn't know there was a trophy. So
there's a trophy. They're actually not even playing each other. but
I don't know.
it's the big game.
Oh, the big game. I wanted to say the game again. I was like, I know it's not the game again.
No, who is the game? Do you know?
The rapper?
No.
Y'all. Yale, Harvard.
Yeah, Yale Harvard is the other game. Yale Harvard. And the trophy for Cal Stanford is the axe.
Oh,
Notre Dame.
I guess that makes sense. A lot of trees out there.
Notre Dame is playing Stanford. What's their rivalry trophy? They have one.
Notre Dame and Stanford?
Yeah, they have one.
I don't know. I didn't know they had one.
That's the Legends Trophy.
Okay.
Plain names. Some of these aren't great, you know.
They can't all be winners.
No,
they can't all be winners.
All right, I have it all written out for the games we're gonna go over too. So I'll quiz you as we go through.
Okay.
I think that's the best way too. So you fired off pretty quick. You were good, but I got a bunch written down for games we're seeing tomorrow.
Okay. Well, let's go through them then because I'm keeping track and we'll see what my record is. Right now I'm 3-3. So I started off 3 in a row, and then you got a little tougher and got me on the last couple. The big game I should have had, to be honest.
The problem is that a lot of these rivalries are like disappearing because there's so many teams in new conferences, and they didn't set them up yet for the next, for this year.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a mess for some of these games, but
well, and some of them could be the last matchup we see for a while too.
Right. That's for sure.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into the games, and as we said, we'll go start off with the main event. We got to start off with Ohio State, Michigan tomorrow. I mean, this has been like the biggest game of the year or close to it the last couple years, but really with the Harbaugh implications here and just I'd feel like it's one of the biggest in-season college football games we've had in a long time. And maybe it's just because Ohio State needs to get off the schneid versus Michigan too. And that's like now what we're not used to with the rivalry is Michigan being in charge, or just the fact that these two teams, I feel like at least going into the last couple of years, even if they were undefeated going into it or almost undefeated and it was a top 5 matchup, we kind of had an idea who had the edge, or at least thought somebody had the edge. Even a couple of years ago when Michigan surprised Ohio State at the Horseshoe and everything, we kind of thought like going into it, like, oh, Ohio State probably will walk away with this. Then we started to see the domination in the trenches from Michigan over the couple of years. And I feel like the last 2 years we've been like, Michigan's probably going to be able to beat up on Ohio State. And then they did a little bit. This year, whether it's – I really don't know what to expect going into this because I think Ohio State can match up in the trenches. I think that they have the best player on the field, but I also think Michigan will have an opportunity to run all over this team because Ohio State hasn't seen a team like this year. I mean, Penn State in a way, but Michigan – is a truly dominant team still on the offensive and defensive line and has a quarterback who doesn't make any mistakes really. So
no, he does, and that's the. I mean, we bash on JJ McCarthy a lot for various reasons. I think he's Zach Wilson in general. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, he's got an insane completion percentage, which isn't everything, but he still pushes the ball downfield. It's not all dinking and dunking. He can run. He's pretty mobile. They have 2 great backs in Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, and they were showing highlights from last year's game, and that was what kind of broke open the game. Donovan Edwards ripping off 2 70+ yard touchdowns. That's the thing. That's kind of been the story of these last 2 games that Michigan's won, is that they've gotten the explosive plays over Ohio State, and they've just been able to run away with the game doing that. And
explosive runs too,
explosive runs. Yeah, not just passes.
Yeah,
they've had the explosive run game. That's what's going to come down to if Ohio State can try to keep away from those explosive plays happening to them. Which they have a very good defense. Michigan also has a very good defense. We're talking about 2 of the top 5 in the country, but it's a tough situation. It really could go either way, and that's why the spread's only 3.5 for Michigan at home. So neutral site, it's a pick 'em. And it's hard to say because they are really evenly matched this year.
This feels like the most even it's been in a long time. Like maybe going back to like the 2006 game, even like where it felt like, man, I really have no idea. Like the only edge I'm giving is because the team's at home. And on that day, the home team won Ohio State by 3 points. So maybe that is like why we should lean towards Michigan here. And I think most people are. Obviously Vegas is. I think the composite scores and everything have Michigan at like 65 to 35% chance to win this game. And I feel like that's about right. And that just takes into account the home field advantage and everything else. But if Ryan Day loses to Michigan again in this situation, like it's crazy to think like he wouldn't be on the hot seat per se, but maybe he would leave himself because I don't know. Like it's such a weird situation because there's only a couple rivalries in this sport that can really determine like a coach's success, and Ohio State Michigan is probably the top of that list, where if you just keep losing to one or the other, doesn't matter what you do the rest of the year. If you lose this game, it's hell for 364 days, and he's been in hell for 3 years now. And the big thing about him is he can't beat Michigan in these big matchups, and tomorrow he might not even get credit for it because Jim Harbaugh won't be on the sidelines, but he kind of like legacy defining, Ohio State legacy defining, maybe the thing that pushes him out the door. I know that on the Aggie message boards, they all think that Ryan Day is coming there. And so would that be something he would be interested in if he loses to Michigan and doesn't want to take the wrath of this Ohio State fan base again? I don't know, but that's the thing is this game, why it's so big, and besides the fact that it's number 2 versus number 3 and the winner will take the Big Ten East and play Iowa next week, is the fact that like it's gonna like the emotional swing that comes out of it is so vast one way or the other that I don't know, anything's possible. Anything's on both. Either one of these head coaches both of them might be gone after this year. Like I really don't know what to expect.
It's highly possible. It's Harbaugh could be going to the NFL as like we've talked about, and who knows what's going on with the allegations about the sign stealing. That's still an ongoing investigation. And not like they're corroborating more or whatever. They were trying to get him back into place for a few weeks to like, oh yeah, like he should be back, we're fighting this. They're all wearing free Harbaugh shirts and stuff, and now they're kind of like settled down with that because I think they realize shit's coming to them. They fired the linebackers coach last week because he was supposedly impeding the investigation, so they got rid of him. Ryan Day, this is interesting because if he loses to Michigan for a third time, it's arguably, oh yeah, he's going to be gone because he can't beat Michigan, and that's the big one. But Harbaugh lost to Ohio State for 7 straight years and didn't lose his job?
But they at least were like, Michigan was at least back in the national conversation every year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But he couldn't beat Urban Meyer. He could not beat Urban Meyer.
Michigan last year, they still made the playoff and were a missed field goal away from a national championship appearance.
That's true.
So I don't know if you'd be on the hot seat or not. I mean, some Ohio State fans might be like, yeah,
hot seat. I don't think he would get fired, but would he? That's why I said, like, I don't think he's going to get fired. You can't get fired after an 11-1 season or 11-2. Like that would just be. You shouldn't at least. But he might just be like, I'm gonna take that Texas money. I'm gonna go hang out in the SEC. I'm gonna get paid $100 million for 10 years or whatever they're going to pay their next head coach, and get away from this crazy pressure cooker. Because if they lose to a non-Jim Harbaugh led Michigan this year, and then this year it isn't their best it's definitely not their best offense or most effective offense, but this is a team that can still win the national title this year. And so it would be a major disappointment if they're left out of the playoff, and they're not going to be in that position where they can lose this game, most likely at least, and still have a playoff spot unless chaos happens around them, which we know these last 2 weeks can bring a lot of chaos. So we should assume that there's going to be some shakeup, but it doesn't feel like it's a year the Big Ten will get 2 teams in.
Yeah, but I don't know, like I'm thinking as Ryan Day now, would you want to leave like the arguably first or second best team in the Big Ten to go be like the 5th best team in the SEC?
He's not getting he's not reaping any benefits if he keeps losing to Michigan, because all he hears at every booster thing he goes to, what are we doing to beat Michigan next year, coach?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like sure. This is the only thing that matters. And for Michigan, like obviously they want to always beat Ohio State and everything else, but the pressure on them is much different. It's not even related to this game. Their coach is probably leaving no matter what. Like even regardless of if this was an issue. Now there is something interesting, and I believe that I can't remember who was talking about it yesterday, so forgive me on that. It was from an NFL podcast. Maybe it was Mike Florio when he was on Pardon My Take talking about it. But Jim Tressel kind of got shadow banned and shadow suspended when he had his issues with Ohio State and wasn't allowed to make the jump right to the NFL. Like they didn't really say it, but the owners all kind of agreed. And there's talks that they would do the same thing with Jim Harbaugh, leaving if he gets into trouble and gets, reprimanded further by the NCAA.
Yeah.
I personally don't think that the NFL should be meddling in anything that's wrong with the NCAA, but they really don't like Jim Harbaugh either. Like, we clearly, the only reason Jim Harbaugh wasn't an NFL coach is because he got into a, power struggle basically with the San Francisco 49ers organization, and then no other owners were willing to put up with his shit. And that's how he ends up back at Michigan. He's probably would be one of the best coaches in the NFL walking in. Like, we know that what Jim Harbaugh does when he shows up. He turns your program around, whether it's a college program or an NFL program. He's done that every stop he's gone to. It just feels like it's the natural end. Like, he's gone on all these interviews last year. Last year, he thought he was at least close to get it, or a couple years ago, thought he was close to getting the Minnesota job. He took some interviews last year and then came back. We know the Bears job is likely to be open. We know the Commanders job is likely to be open. The Chargers, like, those are three, at least, like, the two big brands that could see making a big move like Harbaugh. Obviously, the Bears connection, he was their quarterback. The Commanders are going to try to make a splash there. Or if he just wants to go hang out in LA and have a, top 10 quarterback right away, there's options for him out there.
Bills open? No.
I don't know if they could handle that. There are options out there. So that's why the stakes feel higher for Michigan for me too, because like, this is your year. Like, if Harbaugh leaves after this year, what is this? Like you said, they were even still losing to Ohio State every year with Harbaugh for all that time, but they were at least considered like among the national top teams and the elite national teams. If he leaves, I don't know if they just pick back up next year. They could just, especially with the new Big Ten and everything else. Like, we know remember Michigan was before this last little bit of run with Harbaugh. It was, oh yeah, they can try to get to 10 wins, but they're going to blow it against two teams. And they're like, Michigan was, like, I'm trying to think of like the comparison, I guess, to another team, like really like old Clemson. Like, they were like the same kind of team basically.
Yeah.
When Clemsoning was a thing, that was Michiganing too, pretty much every year. I mean, whether it was Notre Dame or Ohio State.
This is his track record at Michigan. He's been there since 2015. 10-3, won the Citrus Bowl. 10-3, lost the Orange Bowl. 8-5, lost the Outback Bowl. 10-3, lost the Peach Bowl. 9-4, lost the Citrus Bowl. COVID year, they were 2-4. 2021, 12-2, lost the Orange Bowl, but College Bowl playoff appearance, Big Ten championship. Last year, 13-1, lost Fiesta Bowl, College Bowl playoff appearance, Big Ten championship. Now they're, technically his coaching record is 8-0 because of the games he's been suspended for. But I don't even know.
That's exactly it. Like, is Michigan fan base going to be okay with 3 losses every year? No, that's not what they're there for. And that's what they had been in the Urban Meyer era of Ohio State. And that's what they had really been before that too. Like, they weren't, like, the last time they were nationally prominent before the last couple of years, like 2004, 2005.
Even before that, it was, if you go Brady Hoke era, 4 years, 11-2, won the Sugar Bowl, then 8-5, 7-6, 5-7. Rich Rodriguez, 3 years before that, 2008, 3-9, 2009, 5-7, 2010, 7-6.
Yes.
And if you really want to go back to, they lost the Rose Bowl 3 out of 4 years, 2003, 4, and 6.
Now, I don't think Michigan would ever get back down to that point, because I think with NIL, they're fully invested in NIL.
Or 6-6.
They're fully invested in NIL, and they've upped their recruiting game so much, and they have an infrastructure now where, say, Sherrod Moore just takes over as head coach. Like, they're going to have an infrastructure of talent for at least a couple years.
Yeah.
Because of what this program has been.
How much of that recruiting is Harbaugh?
Remember, good point too. He's a great recruiter.
Remember the stories coming out his first couple of years when he was recruiting, where he was like going to like the high schools and sitting in classes with the students, like all that kind of stuff. Do you remember that? Like, he was hanging out at the high schools and was like shadowing the kids, and so he could be with them or whatever, and like pushing really hard to get them to come there. He was doing weird shit, but it was like working. Obviously, they've had a crazy influx of talent there, but I don't even know. You don't know what's gonna change. I mean, like, yeah, you get to play in the biggest stadium, and it's a name brand. You get Jordan stuff because they're signed with them. But also, it's like, do you want to go to Ann Arbor, Michigan? If you're a kid who wants to play in the Big Ten, do you want to go to LA for UCLA or USC, or do you want to go to Oregon and you get all Nike stuff all the time? or Columbus because it's a major city, or do you want to go to Ann Arbor, Michigan? Like, that's the thing, too. It's like recruiting's so weird that if he leaves, who knows how they might lose so many people who are going to decommit if he's gone. They're like, I only want to play for Coach Harbaugh. I don't care the offense coordinator or defense coordinator. You know?
There's huge stakes beyond. That's what I wanted. Like, we've touched on all 3 points, I think, of this game that I wanted to touch on. On the field, it's really going to be, it's been what it's been the last 7 years in the trenches. Like, Ohio State doesn't have the skill players or the quarterback to make up for a deficiency in the trenches, but their defense has been the strongest it's been in recent years, and their offensive line is really good too. So this battle is going to be win on the line of scrimmage. Like you said, can Michigan get those explosive run plays and explosive plays to expose Ohio State, especially because this is not an Ohio State team that's built to come back from big deficits, and they haven't all year. I think personally, though, this Ohio State team, McCord is not like a superstar quarterback, but he hasn't been bad this year either. He's been like good enough to win games. And so I don't think he's a deficient. I don't think he's like the weak link in per se of the offense.
I don't think he's not going to kill them in the game, but he's also, he hasn't shown this year that he is like the guy that's going to win them the game. That's been Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yes. And so he is the biggest X factor of this because he didn't get loose last year. But if he gets loose this year, like there's no one else on the field for Michigan that can match up to that kind of explosiveness. Maybe, if like I said, they get the run games going. But so I'll make my prediction first and then get to you. I still think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I know we've looked at this and it's been pretty chaotic for the last 10 years. I think when we looked at the rivalry, a lot of games in the 40s and 30s. I'm going 24-21 Buckeyes in this game.
24-21 Buckeyes?
Yes.
I was gonna say it's also 3 points. I'm gonna go a little higher. I wanna get the whole actual thing here. I'm gonna go a little higher. I'm gonna go. Oh, it's tough. I'm gonna go like 31-28. No, 34-31. I'm gonna go Ohio State. It's gonna be so close. It's gonna be such a close game. It's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be so tense in there the second it kicks off too, which is the best part.
It really is because it's exciting. I mean, game 2006 game of the century. Is it game of the century part 2? You know,
pretty much.
Like, which kind of was like that was what people thought like going into it last year when they were in the same spot. They were both ranked 2 and 3.
Yeah. If Georgia didn't exist, they'd probably get the game of the century designation.
Honestly, the last few games, there's like the last close game was 2016, and that was when it went to double overtime.
Yeah, it's been blowouts pretty much the other way. So that's why we're due for like a classic.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, it's gonna be fun tomorrow. So let's get through the rest of these games here that we have on the slate. We talked about the big one. So there's the Friday slate. Starting with Missouri at Arkansas.
What's the name of the rivalry?
Does this have a name?
It does, and it has a trophy. Same name for both.
I don't know, so I'm gonna take the L here.
It's the Battle Line rivalry.
Oh, I like that. See, I knew it was something with. I didn't want to. Border War is Missouri and Kansas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Battle Line, and it's the trophy is like it's like metal with a glass.
Yeah, I know. I can see the trophy in my. I can see the trophy with the states.
It's relatively new. It's only been within the last only been within the last like 15 years. I feel like they brought.
How many games did they played against each other though? Because they used to probably be in the. Well, no, I don't think they were in the Southwest Conference together because Missouri was probably in the Big Eight.
Missouri was in the Big 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Battle Line rivalry. They've played each other 14 times from 1906 to 2022.
Okay, so mostly just the SEC since they've been in the SEC.
Yeah.
But they're going to keep it rolling. Obviously, now they're remaining there. I think it's a protected rivalry in the SEC too.
Yeah, probably.
Mizzou's going to win this game.
Yeah, they're team.
Arkansas does some weird shit at home. We saw them play Alabama tight at home this year. I think it's a close game, but I got Missouri like 30-24 or something like that.
Yeah, close. I mean, 9.5 spread. I could see it just being down, like more so just a touchdown win. I'm picking Missouri too. I think Missouri's just been great this year. They're so fun to watch, and they kind of came out of nowhere. Like honestly, who would have expected it? And they're gonna win this game, be 10-2. and they'll get a nice New Year's Six bowl, probably the Cotton Bowl or something like that, or Peach Bowl, which that's awesome for them, kind of coming out of nowhere with this season. Arkansas, the Sam Pittman era has been kind of a mixed bag. It hasn't been great. KJ Jefferson hasn't been bad, but it's kind of like the same thing with Texas A&M when they had Kellen Mond. They kind of just they got a horse and they kind of rode him until he died.
Yeah.
And they probably could have moved on, but they've just stuck with him. And I think their moment in the sun, kind of like sailed a little bit, it's
going to be hard to win in Arkansas in the SEC now. Even now it is, but especially with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, it's going to be so hard to recruit and win there. They're going to, even if they're behind teams like Missouri, they really don't have a shot when they're recruiting against these guys. But yeah, we're both on Missouri.
Yeah.
This Friday Arkansas game usually is pretty chaotic, whether it was LSU in the past or anybody else. It's been a fun time, so keep an eye on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Tech at Texas. That's tomorrow, right? That's the wrong day? That is today. Okay.
That's what I thought. 7:30. What's the
7:30? That's right. See, for some reason I got the 7 and 3. This has been my problem all week, is because they're 7. I couldn't remember if it was Saturday at 3:30 or today at 7:30. It's been messing me up all week. Yes, tonight. I knew I put it in here Friday too.
What? No name for this rivalry, but they have a trophy. It's very Texas-esque, I should say. Obviously.
Is it something with a cowboy hat?
No, you're thinking the golden hat is
the golden hat with Oklahoma. Yeah,
Oklahoma.
I don't know.
It's the Chancellor's Spurs.
Oh, the Spurs. Okay,
yeah, it's Spurs.
I like that. Well, I'm not doing very well on this list. Texas should blow out Texas Tech tonight.
Yeah, they are.
I think they're 30-point favorites, right? Oh, I thought they were way bigger
14,
than that.
14.
Oh, that's not
14-point favorites. My only thing is that before this season even started, the chairman of the Big 12 in that press conference before the season started was like, "Let's go Red Raiders! I'm rooting for you against that team in Austin." Before the season started, because it's the last. It's oh, Texas is gonna go maybe 11-1, win the Big 12 in their last year there. I'm just, if there's some questionable calls in this game, I'm not gonna be surprised. That's all I'm saying.
I wouldn't doubt it. I definitely wouldn't doubt it.
I think Texas will take care of business. Quinn, had a little bit of rust coming off the injury, but I think he'll bounce back. He'll be fine. Xavier Worthy and N.I. Mitchell are one of the best wide receiver corps in the country. Yeah. Honestly, they're a great tandem. So, and they have a great tight end. And obviously losing Brooks hurts, but they still picked it up right with C.J. Baxter, and he was great. So their offense is still primed to do everything they need them to do.
Yeah, this team should roll through. I really thought I saw 24-point favorites.
No, 14. 14.
Okay. That's how much confident I am, though, is I wasn't even going to bat an eye at that. And I think that they're worlds better than this Tech team. Tech is 6-5. They've let up a ton of points, but the last couple of weeks had some better defensive performances. But that's Kansas and UCF, not against Texas. This Big 12 right now. Basically, if Oklahoma State wins,
and if Texas wins,
BYU and Texas wins, then yes,
that's the Big 12 championship.
Yes, Oklahoma, I think they just won. It just went final.
They need Oklahoma State to lose.
Yes, to get in, and so then Kansas State's pretty much out. Then I would assume. Since Oklahoma won today.
I think so.
So we're down to, if Texas wins, they're in tonight. And then if State beats BYU, they're in and we'll play Texas. If not, we'll get a rematch of Texas-Oklahoma. Well, I guess we'll get a rematch of Oklahoma and State and Texas too. Either one, Texas.
No, they didn't play each other this year.
Oh, they didn't play this year.
No, they didn't. Right. Because the new Big 12.
That's right.
So that would be a first-time matchup for the season, which would be fun.
I think State will handle BYU at home, take care of business, and we'll get Texas-Oklahoma State. That's what we're sized up for.
Yeah.
Penn State at Michigan State in Detroit tonight.
Ford Field.
How you feeling about this, Mo?
I think Penn State's going to roll through them.
Yeah.
For the greatest trophy in all of college football.
The Land Grant Trophy. I'm giving myself credit for that one.
The Land Grant Trophy. Best trophy in all of football.
Grant them that land, bro.
18-1. The series stands right now. No, I think Penn State.
Crazy.
I think Penn State's going to roll through them. They're just a much better team. Michigan State, obviously, this year with the firing of Mel Tucker, and they have just not looked good at all. They started out 2-0 against bad competition and have just been getting destroyed ever since. Penn State's just
23-point favorites.
Yeah. It's the line has steadily gone up because when I typed it in earlier, it was 22.5, and so I went to double check, and it was 23. It had moved up in like 10 minutes since I had looked at it. Like they're gonna kill them. It's a neutral site too. If this game was at Michigan State, I would think maybe it'll be a little.
I know, yeah, it's going to be a lot of Penn State.
Michigan State, but
it's going to be a lot of Penn State fans there.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, for sure.
With the neutral site matchup.
Yeah.
They should keep doing this. Honestly, I think it'd be a good idea to do it at Ford Field every year, almost. Or do it in Pittsburgh sometimes. It's
not a protected rivalry with the new Big Ten.
I know, yeah.
So
maybe that's why they did it here in Detroit. It's like the last.
Maybe and maybe that going forward, whenever they do play, it'll be a neutral site. But
yeah, because Penn State has 0 protected rivalries, right?
They have 0.
They're going to roam everywhere. I think that's good. That means they play a rival pretty much because they have little rivalries everywhere. They got, Maryland and Rutgers aren't rivals, but they are like the
Maryland and them are technically rivals, but that's a one-sided rivalry.
But they get up for the games. Like Penn State fans will get up for that game. They'll get hyped for the Rutgers game because it's Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and they're shit talking back. Like obviously Ohio State, Michigan State.
Yeah, Minnesota they have a trophy for too.
Yeah.
So I mean, they have
it'll be all over the place, and who knows how the West Coast teams fit in? Like those rivalries will start. Like there will be a game. There will be matchups that were like
USC and Penn State kind of have a small rivalry. I would say.
And I'd say Ohio State and Oregon have been at each other's throats for a good 10 years or whatever.
Penn State and USC played each other in like the last 30 years, like 3 times in the Rose Bowl, 4 times in the Rose Bowl. I mean, that's enough to get something going.
And they start the season next year, so
the
Big 12, Big 10 slate. I'm pretty in line with you here. The big one tonight, Oregon State at Oregon. Oregon State almost pulled off the upset last week in Corvallis, lost 22-20. They battled back at half. It was 22-10 at halftime, so they shut out Washington. It was a rainy night in Corvallis. It was really weird.
As always in Corvallis, it's really.
This is going to be this game. The over is 61.5. I would take Oregon State and the over, and I think this is going to be like a 45-38 just shootout, and I think Oregon prevails.
You think Oregon prevails? I mean. Yes. Yeah, 14. When I saw that they were 14-point favorites, I thought that was a little too much.
Me too.
I don't know. I mean, it might be. I don't know. Bo Nix, Heisman? Is this his moment?
Oh no! Don't tell me that.
Oh man, it's gonna be tough. Rivalries. I'll probably go I'll say Oregon in Civil War, even though they don't call it Civil War anymore. That's its real name. Just because the fact that it's in Eugene. I think is what it's got to be. It's a night game in Eugene. If this was in Corvallis, like kind of like it was last year, which Oregon State was not as good last year as they were this year, and they pulled off the upset. So I think just Oregon being at home is good. What's going to seal it and send them to the Pac-12 championship game for a rematch with Washington. What's this trophy, Jake? Because I gave away the name.
Oh, I didn't know they had a trophy. Is it the platypus?
It is the platypus trophy. There you go.
Yes.
Give yourself a point there.
I knew. I thought it. I didn't know if it was actually a trophy or not.
It is.
But I knew they had some kind of platypus.
Platypus trophy, and they won't call it Civil War anymore, but it's still Civil War in our hearts, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go as high as you. I'm not going to go 45-38. I'll go like 28-21, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we did good timing because Missouri and Arkansas just kicked off and my app just updated. So we already previewed it. Let's get through. We don't have a lot of shouldn't be a lot of slip-ups, I imagine, but there will be some interesting games for the Saturday slate, and we'll finish up there. Yeah. We'll start with a nice segue for you. Washington at Washington State. As you mentioned, Washington needs to get through here. You never know. Like with this game too, I think Washington. I think we're getting Washington and Oregon though. I think it's coming in the Pac-12 championship.
I think either way, I think Washington gets in, even if they would lose, which I doubt they would lose. What's the name, bro? That's an easy Apple Cup. Yes. It's Washington State won in 2021 in Seattle. Washington, besides that, has won like 10 of the last 11. It's pretty dominant. This is also for the Northwest Classic.
Okay. If Washington wins,
Northwest Championship. because Washington beat Oregon and Oregon State already.
So they can lock it down. Nice.
They can lock it down. They're 15.5-point favorites. I think they're going to blow them out. Washington State started out really hot and then kind of just completely fell apart. They might be able to put up a little bit of points because we've seen Washington's defense isn't amazing, but Washington State's offense is so much better than what Washington State has on defense that it's going to be like a 42-25 game or 28 game, something like that.
Yeah, I don't see them slowing down Washington at all, the Cougars.
And I think Washington knows they can't slip up. They moved up to 4 this week for the playoff.
It's true.
They know they can't slip up. I think they're pretty locked in. They win this game, and then Oregon is a tough test next week if that's what happens. If it ends up being Oregon,
it's probably it could be a de facto play-in game for what we know the community thinks of Oregon at this point. Like they really think highly of Oregon. So, should be fun.
I love Washington winning the Apple Cup. You know, myself as a quarterback at Washington, I won 4 straight Apple Cups in my road to glory.
You did them strong.
I did.
Them right.
Yeah.
Georgia at Georgia Tech. Any comments here, or do you think Uga just rolls?
I think they rolled. They're 24-point faves. I think they covered by 24. What's the rivalry? It's a good one.
Good old-fashioned hate.
Clean old-fashioned hate. So you're
damn, I always do that.
Clean old-fashioned hate.
I'm not taking credit for it. But
and they also have the Governor's Cup, which a lot of rivalries are just a governor blank. Governor's Trophy, Governor's Cup.
Clean old-fashioned hate.
No.
Damn.
Yeah, Georgia's
I guess clean hate is good. You don't want dirty hate. Dirty hate would be scary. Clean hate in your football games.
Clean old-fashioned hate.
All right, we got 2 games left. We're going to finish with the ACC. Kentucky at Louisville in the Governor's Cup.
Oh, you skipped a big game, but we'll come back to it.
I did?
Yeah. You skipped a very big rivalry game for the number 8 team in the country.
Who? What game are you talking about?
The Iron Bowl.
Where? Oh, I did.
You skipped the Iron Bowl.
I did. I've like scrolled past it like 10 times and just not even noticed it. Well, we'll finish up with the Iron Bowl. Let's do the ACC. We got Kentucky at Louisville. Governor's Cup.
Yes, Governor's Cup.
I think that Kentucky is going to win this game. I think that Louisville is not an 11-1 team, bro. I'm sorry. I think this is it. I think this is where they get caught. There's going to be some chaos. They're only 7.5-point favorites in Louisville. Kentucky, I don't know. I like Kentucky in these spots, like these weird like games where they play up to their competition. They only lost by 3 last week at South Carolina. I think they're doing it.
This is where we're different. I'm picking Louisville. I think the 7 is fair. It'll be a close game. Probably be fairly low scoring. It's going to be in the 20s. But I'm picking Louisville. I think like same as Missouri. Honestly, they've been a massive surprise this year, and good for them. They're ranked 10th in the country at 10-1. And they're going to be in the ACC title game no matter what. They've already clinched that spot. I think they'll just they'll roll on, and then they'll be ready for Florida State. I think, and then they got a New Year's Six bowl in their future. So good for Louisville this year, kind of coming out of nowhere with their Indiana transfer quarterback. Who would ever thought?
It's crazy.
Which honestly, look at Washington too with their Indiana transfer quarterback.
You leave Indiana, good things happen. That's what you're saying.
Tom Allen. Tom Allen's the coach, right?
Yeah, I think he's getting fired though.
He should be. He's got these 2 quarterbacks who are transferring out, and they're leading teams to 10-win seasons.
It's crazy that Jeff Brom is about to go potentially 11-1 with Louisville.
It's
fucking
a better
nuts,
season than like Lamar ever had.
Yes, their lone loss, that weird game at Pitt, 38-21 on the year.
Yeah, that one really doesn't make any sense.
No sense at all. So I'm picking the upset. We got to pick some upsets around here somewhere. So I'm gonna take Kentucky. Messing with Louisville. I'm also picking Florida to beat Florida State, though.
I'm with you.
Yes.
No Jordan Travis.
No Jordan Travis and this Florida team. It's a great point. It was on the Rosillo pod that he mentions all the time, and I like to mention it too. When you have the top tier talent like this, inconsistency is the coaching fault. But these players can get up for games and play above what their expectation is, regardless of their coaching. And I feel like this is a matchup where they're like, this is our rival who's wounded, and we can ruin their season. Like and they are 5-6. They need this game to get bowl eligible. So all the motivation in the world for Florida is there. And for Florida State, they're just trying to survive. Like they're just literally trying to get through this week, get the kinks out with the I can't remember the dude's name, quarterback now.
New guy? Yeah, I'm not.
Tate Rodemaker.
It's a hell of a name.
Like, you got to get the kinks out. They played North Alabama last week. Like, it's a completely different animal going into the swamp. And we talked about this with Tennessee earlier in the year too, which Tennessee is not as good of a team as Florida State. But when we talked about that game earlier in the year, we're like, it's really hard for a quarterback who is not elite to just go into Florida and win, because that it's just such a raucous environment, and that team has talent all over the place, even though they've been inconsistent this year. So I'm taking Florida. I think they pull the biggest upset of the day.
I think it's gonna be a heavy Trevor Etienne game.
Oh yeah.
And he's proven like this. I mean, he's only a sophomore. He's been awesome this year, and it's kind of been like he's kind of been undershadowed because of like how bad the team has been overall.
Yeah,
but he's been
and it
great.
sucked because Mertz was playing well and then got hurt too. And I know they were still like mid when that happened, but
But no, Etienne, I trust him. I think he's a really good back. He's gonna have another really good year next year before he comes out in the draft. I don't think he's obviously like maybe not as good as his brother, but a great running back still.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna shoulder the load in this game, and I think Florida State's gonna head into the ACC championship game with an imperfect season. They're gonna be 11-1.
I think so too. I think
that'll clear out our 11-1 Louisville Cardinals.
And it'll clear out our playoff
prediction. It would. That's the thing. The College Football Playoff Committee is probably like hoping
Florida State to lose. Yeah.
Because it clears the way. It clears the path.
Because they don't even want them to be in like they dropped them out of the 4 with Travis getting hurt.
Which I told you. I knew it was going to happen. As soon as you told me Jordan Travis got hurt, I was like, they're going to be out.
Florida has lost their last 4 games. So I also like a team to break the schneid off of things. But their last 4, they lost to Georgia 43-20, which Georgia, whatever. Arkansas 39-36, which is so high scoring game. All these are high scoring. They lost at LSU 52-35. That got away from them at the end. It was pretty close throughout, if I remember correctly.
And they just got Jaden Daniels.
Yes, and last week they lost 33-31 against Missouri. So they went on the road against the top 10 team and played that well. I just feel like the breakthrough is about to be right there. And especially with all of their playing, they want to play a bowl game, like regardless, whatever. Like these kids want to get into a bowl game and be 6-6. You don't want to be 5-7. So yeah, I think we're both aligned here. I did forget about Auburn and Al. You want anything else on this?
Well, yeah, they got a rivalry trophy. It's fairly new.
Oh, I didn't know that. No, so
it's called the McCalla Trophy. And you need to look it up because I want you to look at it right now so you can see what it looks like.
How do you spell McCalla?
MAKALA.
MAKALA.
Yeah.
McCalla Trophy.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
It's like a Seminole leader, and he's like punching an alligator. That's
fire. What a trophy.
It's pretty new, I think. It's only been like the last 5-6 years. That's what it is.
That's a great trophy, honestly.
It is.
I love that.
Yeah, I think it's new because they didn't have one for a long time, so it's supposed to be a new start.
All right, let's finish up with the Iron Bowl. Here's my defense in forgetting about the Iron Bowl. There's no way Auburn's beating Alabama.
No.
There's zero. Like, I have just already put in my mind Bama 1 loss in the SEC title game, potentially playing for a playoff. Auburn's not doing shit to this Bama. I think Bama's going to win 56-10, bro. Like, Bama is on a roll right now, and Auburn has been a joke this season. And it's only a 13-point game. I know they're 6-5. They're not a joke. But I just don't see them being on the same field with Bama.
No, I don't either. What'd you say?
They lost to New Mexico State last week, Mo. 31-10 at home.
Yeah,
this team is a mess.
Yeah,
Auburn, they lost to every good team they've played this year. They've beaten every bad team they've played. Their wins are Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Samford, Cal, and UMass. That's a fucking terrible.
They have 7 wins.
6. I said 6. If I said 7, and they lost to Ole Miss, lost to LSU, lost to Georgia, lost to A&M. They're going to lose the Bama.
Even A&M. A&M fired their coach midway through the year, and they still lost that game. I'm going Bama. A game that I won't think you'll know the name of this because I didn't even know they had a trophy until today because you never really show it. It's the Faux ODK Sportsmanship Trophy. It's named after James E. Faux, who was like the dean of both colleges at some point, and then ODK is Omicron Delta Kappa, the fraternities. They founded a chapter on both universities at the same time to ease tensions between the school, and then that's why they have the trophy.
It's a good way to ease tensions, I guess.
I've never seen this trophy honestly on any broadcast though. But it's apparently exists, and they give it. It's between like the associations every year.
That's wild. No, I had no idea. But yeah, Bama's gonna roll. Me skipping this game is giving Bama the ultimate respect of them just putting them in a national title semifinal next week, because that's pretty much what that will be.
Yeah.
And Georgia, I think, still makes it if they lose.
Sweet. Okay. Say that again.
I think Georgia, if they lose to Bama next week, I think Georgia and Bama both get in. The Big Ten champion, well, if it's not Iowa, but if it's Michigan or Ohio State, they're in. And then that last spot is between Texas, Washington, Oregon winner, Louisville, Florida State winner, potentially.
Georgia or Iowa, if Iowa goes 11-2 and
they're not getting in.
If they beat the number 2 team in the country and they're 11-2 and they win the Big Ten, they should be in the playoff.
I don't think so. I disagree.
They should be. That's my hot take, is that they should be in the playoff. If
that's just because you would say Penn State should have been in.
No.
Back then.
Back then for sure. Obviously,
it's a very similar scenario. I guess not.
Well, that's the thing. If Ohio State and Michigan, if neither one of them wins the Big Ten championship game, neither of them should get in.
No. But I'm saying if it's Georgia loses to Bama, if Ohio State beats Michigan and beats Iowa,
Ohio State's number 1 team in the country.
Yes. Texas wins the Big 12. Washington wins the Pac-12. Yeah. And let's say our scenario where Florida State lost the game, so the ACC is even just out. It's coming down to Texas. It's Georgia's getting in over Texas. Like, they're safely a 3 seed, I think.
So you're saying
I think if Georgia loses, if they win this week, I think if Georgia loses to Bama, they're in no matter what.
Maybe. I mean, probably. I don't know if they're going to lose to Bama. I don't really honestly even know.
I don't know either. I'm just that's the one scenario I'm throwing, because there's only a couple real chaos scenarios, and it would be: do you put Texas in or do you put the Pac-12 champion in? And I think you'd put Texas in. I think you have to.
I think the likely path is this: it's Georgia's going to win out. They're the 1. I'm picking Ohio State to beat Michigan, so they're winning the Big Ten. So it's Ohio State 2, Washington 3, because I think they're going to win out, and so it's between probably a 1-loss ACC champion, a 1-loss Texas.
So if it's undefeated Florida, so I guess the other big chaotic thing is if it's undefeated Florida State and 1-loss Texas, but Florida State doesn't have Jordan Travis, who gets in? Because I think
if they're undefeated, then they've proven enough that whoever that quarterback is that they had, that Rodemaker, that they would probably trust. If he wins this game at Florida, even though it's not a great Florida team, but it's on the road in a rivalry game, he wins the ACC championship game against a top 10 team, then they probably get in because they're undefeated. And so it's 4 undefeateds.
Yeah, it'd be tough to keep Texas out, but imagine your only loss on the last play of the game.
I think if they have any loss at all, if Florida State has any loss and Texas goes undefeated, they're 12-1, win the Big 12 championship game, I think they're that 4th team in.
Yeah.
And Michigan's out because they have a 1 loss and they didn't win the conference.
Yeah, I think Florida State, we need to be big Florida and Louisville fans the next couple of weeks. I think that's the only way Texas gets in.
That is the only way.
I think
even if Bama, the thing is, it's tough because even if Bama beats Georgia, which obviously they're knocking off the number 1 team in the country, they've shown all year they don't want them to jump Texas.
Yeah,
because they're respecting that head-to-head loss.
They would give it to them if they beat Georgia, though, because then that's the best win in the country is beating Georgia. And so you cancel that out, but Texas should get more credit for the loss too, because they beat this Bama team who was able to go beat. Like it's all. That's why that's the biggest chaos. The biggest chaos is if Georgia loses, because I could see them wanting to keep Georgia in and just be like, but maybe Georgia would get kicked out after that. Maybe you go Texas beat Bama head to head. Georgia didn't. Texas should get in over Georgia. That should be it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's gonna be a fun weekend though. We'll be we're gonna this is on Friday. I'm gonna repost this again Saturday. So if you're watching this on Saturday, sorry for having all the Friday slate. Hope you just skipped around and did whatever. But let's enjoy the games.
What was your record? What was your record?
Oh, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-7.
7-7.
Let's go.
I gotta give you one more then.
Okay, fine. Tiebreaker.
Let me look.
The wagon wheel.
No.
Kent Akron.
I'm looking for a game that's actually happening. Ugh. The problem is some of these games aren't actually rivalry games this weekend.
Yeah.
Shit. I don't even see one. Oh, Vanderbilt, Tennessee's got to be one, right? I'm pretty sure. Let me make sure it has a name, actually. Because they're both in Tennessee. This is great podcasting right here.
That's all right.
Nah, they don't have a name. All right, never mind. You're 7-7. You lucked out.
I'll take it.
They ain't even got a name.
Take me at 500. All right. Thank you, folks. Have a good one.